Ever wanted to see the artwork for the original TV series but never had the chance to? Well, now you can help to make it happen. Robert Gold Galliers has recently expressed an interest in creating a coffee table book with all drawings for the Thomas & Friends TV series and possibly Tugs and Jack and the Sodor Construction Company. SIF staff member Nicholas has created a petition online to highlight the interest in such a book, but we need your help to make this dream a reality. Just sign the petition today for a chance to make your voice heard. Link is in the description. I can manage just fine.
He was sent up the line one day after I was put back on passenger services, continued Sir Handel. Peter Sam glared coldly at him. Sir Handel just grinned inanely at him and carried on. Of course, our slate quarry provided a vital part of the goods traffic back then, and we had yet to encounter the trucks there. You see, they didn't like newcomers. At the end of the line stood a slate quarry. It had been there for many years and provided a considerable portion of goods traffic ever since the copper mines at Wardfell had been shut down. The slate quarry had once been a highly profitable industry, and its steep incline and high-quality produce had made it a staple of Sudrian life. But now, its days were over. It was producing less and less slate, and it had been operating at a loss for several decades. When Peter Sam first arrived at the quarry, he was apprehensive. It was a part of the railway he had never seen, yet he knew all too well the damage trucks could do. He had remembered all of Duke's warnings about them. I must be careful, I must be careful, I must be careful, he chanted to himself as he set about pushing all the trucks into their proper places. Sir Handel was working the passenger trains that day, much to his relief, and an order for an important shipment of slate had been made by the Fat Controller. The sheds for the North Western Railway at Tidmouth were being rebuilt, and so the slate was to be transferred onto James's goods train at Crovan's Gate. Peter Sam buffered up to the empty trucks and pushed them to the incline, where they would be fixed to strong ropes and pulled up by the weight of the descending loaded trucks. He then moved off to the sidings, where he marshalled a brake van to the rear of a train of loaded trucks. They were to be added to the load already coming down. These could then be shunted onto the train, and he could take them to James after he had shunted some more empties to the incline. There was no turntable at the quarry, so he would have to pull the train backwards. As soon as everything was ready, he set off down the line. Peter Sam had a splendid run. He made good time and the trucks ran smoothly. Too smoothly. Who's this engine? They asked each other. And where's Skarloey gone, eh? He's supposed to take us, not this oversized wannabe. What does this new engine think he's playing at? No one had told them that Skarloey had gone away. They missed working with him as he treated them fairly. Because Sir Handel and Peter Sam were the same colour as Skarloey, they thought the two engines were imitating him. They passed Skarloey Station, where some workmen were mending the loop. They had already finished work on the points at one end of the platform, pulled up the track and were relaying the ballast before setting the track back on top of it. A set of temporary buffers had been set at the end facing the quarry, so that trucks for materials could be left there without blocking the other line. There was still a considerable amount of ballast to relay, so the siding was only on the portion that had been completed. Peter Sam whistled to the workmen as they passed, and some of them stopped to wave back. It'll be nice when that loop is completed, he thought. No more having to shunt coaches to the quarry to run around them for a start. He soon reached the wharf at Croven's Gate. There was James, waiting with his goods train. "You look cheerful," he observed as Peter Sam drew up alongside. "Yes, I am," Peter Sam replied. "I've just brought all these trucks down from the slate quarry without a single incident." "Well, mind you be careful with them," warned James. "They'll trip you up soon enough if you give them a chance to." "Oh, they won't," replied Peter Sam. "Not with how they're running today." "They might," James protested. "There's not an engine on this island who hasn't run foul of trucks. I myself have had a breakaway and 2 crashes because of them." "Oh, yes, I heard about those," Peter Sam chuckled. "Didn't one crash turn you into a dirty object?" James was furious and decided to say no more. "But I'm telling you, Sir Handel, I can manage just fine." "Even so, Peter Sam, you need to be careful." The shed that night was far from quiet. Sir Handel had heard the conversation between Peter Sam and James from the yard earlier that day and agreed with the big red engine. "But they didn't try anything, Sir Handel. Not even so much as a hot box or a silly song." "That doesn't mean they won't," Sir Handel retorted. He could well remember when some trucks ran a hot box with him when they were on the Mid-Sodor Railway. "Oh, come on, Sir Handel," Peter Sam argued. "It's a new railway. You've got to let go of the past. Perhaps these trucks here are different." "Grandpuff would agree," retorted Sir Handel. "Well, he's not here now, is he?" replied Peter Sam. "And even if he were, I think he'd agree with me." "You're certainly not one to talk anyway. You derailed yourself just to get out of pulling trucks. I didn't, and I know what they are like." Sir Handel didn't know what to say, so he remained silent and crossly went to sleep. Peter Sam stayed awake a few minutes longer. "I need to be careful. Pah! And all that coming from him." If Peter Sam had only listened, he would never have been so foolish. Every wise engine knows that you cannot trust trucks. The next morning, Peter Sam arrived at the slate quarry. The trucks remained silent as they watched him, smiling. Peter Sam thought they were happy to see him. "How nice," he thought to himself. "They're pleased to see me. It must be because of yesterday. I didn't bump them at all. Sir Handel doesn't think about that. On our old line, he bumped them about like they were marbles." He was correct in one aspect. The trucks were pleased to see him. It meant their plan could go ahead. Regardless of how he treated them now, Peter Sam was heading for trouble. He marshalled the loaded trucks into one long train. The guard blew his whistle and waved his green flag. Peter Sam puffed away with his train of loaded trucks, unaware of the danger ahead. Outside the quarry, the line descends towards the road. The descent itself is short, but quite steep. Skarloey and his crew always made it a point to check the trucks here. Peter Sam had indeed remembered to do so yesterday, but today, before he had a chance to check them, the trucks seized the opportunity and surged forwards. "On, on!" they cried, bumping into him. "What on?" started Peter Sam, but it was too late. He and his trucks were charging down the hill faster and faster. "Help! Help!" he cried. The driver and fireman tried everything they could think of. They tried applying the brakes, they tried sanding the rails, they even tried setting Peter Sam in reverse, but nothing worked. The trucks were too heavy, and there was too many of them pushing against him. The guard had become all too aware of what had happened. As soon as he felt the first bump, he had pinned down the brakes in his van, but even these did little against the surging trucks. They passed the road and approached the level crossing. Peter Sam could see a lorry approaching the crossing. It had an unusual green object on its trailer, but Peter Sam wasn't interested in that. He had other problems. The curve ahead where the crossing lay was sharp. He, his driver and fireman knew it was very possible they would overturn and crash there and likely take the lorry, its driver and the green object along with him. The driver blew his whistle as loud as he could. Hearing the warning, the lorry stopped mere inches from the crossing, and both the object and the lorry driver were startled to see Peter Sam come shooting round the curve so fast that he and his train tilted onto one side before they righted themselves and sped on down the track. Sparks flew from the brake van as the train disappeared round the bend. Skarloey station was the nearest on the line to the crossing. The lorry driver ran to the telephone and called them. "There's a runaway coming," he warned. "Thanks, we'll handle this," said the station master grimly. He called out to a shunter who changed the points and to the workmen who dropped their tools and ran for cover like rabbits. Peter Sam thundered down the line 5 times faster than his usual speed. "I have to stop! I have to stop!" he screamed. Then he saw Skarloey station in the distance. Seizing the opportunity, the fireman stood in the cab doorway. Then, as soon as they came into the platform, he jumped clear as the train swerved violently into the loop. The driver stayed aboard, doing what he still could to slow down the train before bracing for impact. Peter Sam shut his eyes. He felt the buffers give way beneath his weight, his wheels left the rails, and he skidded along the ballast several yards before finally coming to a stop in the grass, right next to where the loop would meet the running line at the other end. "Phew," he remarked. Luckily, no one was hurt except for the driver, and even then he was only bruised when the train had derailed. The fin controller arrived with Sir Handel and the breakdown train. Remarkably, not a single part of the train had overturned in the crash. Peter Sam, the trucks and the brake van had remained upright throughout everything. The fin controller spoke severely to Peter Sam. "Well, Peter Sam," he said, "I've been told about your behaviour as of late. You would have done well to listen to the other engines and take their advice. Now you know the damage trucks on any railway can do." "I'm sorry, sir," said Peter Sam. "I tried to be kind to them." "Maybe," said the fin controller, "and you're a good engine for trying that. But you really should have been more careful about who you trust. This accident has delayed us significantly. However, we have luckily just purchased a new diesel to help run the line, as I'm sure you noticed on your way down. So we'll only be affected today while the mess is cleaned up. There are no flat trucks available, and the lorries have been held up by the accident, so you'll have to be towed down by Sir Handel. It's lucky that the damage you've incurred isn't too serious. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to move you like this. This new diesel can take over your jobs while you're being mended. But I trust today's events will teach you to take more care with trucks." "Yes, sir," said Peter Sam. "Good," said the fin controller. "Now, if you'll excuse me, there are a few more things I need to say to others." He made his way towards the trucks. "I trust you had something to do with all this?" he asked them. They said nothing, their guilty expressions giving him the answer. He looked them up and down. "How would it be if we overturned you all and left you to sit there and rot away?" he said to them. "Oh no, sir, please don't leave us like that," they pleaded. "And why not?" "Because we can't be useful to you like that." "Then why did you derail Peter Sam? Your quarry is losing business. This shipment which is now delayed by your foolishness, dare I add, would have kept you going a little longer. As it is, you've held up both my and Sir Topham Hatt's timetables, damaged both yourselves and Peter Sam, and almost ruined your load. I ask you again, why did you do this?
Because we thought he was imitating Skarloey, sir. Skarloey's a fine engine, and we don't want anyone trying to be like him. We want him back.
But Skarloey's being mended in England. He won't be back for a while yet. Hasn't anyone told you?
The trucks paused, then mumbled a quiet No. The Finn controller sighed and regained his posture.
Then you have my apologies. We should have ensured that you were well informed of these proceedings. But mark my words. Remember that you are owned by the Slate Quarry. One more crash, and I doubt if they would consider repairing you again. You are still in a fit enough condition to take your load down with Sir Handel and Peter Sam, so I suggest you do so without any further mishap.
Yes, sir, the trucks replied sadly. It wasn't long before the diesel was unloaded and helped to re-rail Peter Sam and the trucks, and Sir Handel had buffered up to them. As soon as everything was ready, he towed them all down to Crovan's Gate. Peter Sam hoped he had heard the end of his accident. He hadn't. The story had already spread.
Well, chuckled James. What's all this then, eh? Peter Sam, the truck's friend, comes a cropper with them.
Oh, but James, smirked Sir Handel. This isn't Peter Sam. Peter Sam always manages just fine with his trains. He doesn't need to be careful. Evidently, this new engine, however, doesn't have his luck.
Peter Sam seethed furiously as the other engines laughed and laughed.
But secretly, he knew that he had been a very silly engine.